stroll in honor of breast cancer survivors. Meet at Claudio Marco School in Frederickstead, Sunday, October 12, 5:30 p.m., 312-217-9044. And if you'd like your event aired on the WTJX community calendar, please send it at least 2 weeks in advance to news@wtjx.org.
Good morning. I'm meteorologist Russ Murley with your WTJX local forecast. This is Thursday, the 9th day of October. Spotty showers, temperatures in the middle to upper 80s this afternoon. East to southeast winds at 10 to 15. Showers will come to an end. Then partly cloudy skies overnight tonight, 78 to 82. Tomorrow, showers will become more widespread again during the afternoon. High temperatures in the middle to upper 80s. Widespread showers expected tomorrow night. Nighttime lows 78 to 82. Widespread showers continue on Saturday, 85 to 89. Jerry will be tracking to our north-northeast as we look forward to the next several days, kicking up dangerous surf conditions at area beaches with high rip current risk as well.
WTJX 93.1 Charlotte Amalia, your NPR station in the Virgin Islands.
The views and opinions expressed on Analyze This are entirely those of the on-air participants and do not reflect those of the station's board, management, staff, or underwriters.
And we're back here on Analyze This, and we're joined now by educators and a student. Good morning, ladies. Good morning. Turn on the microphone so we can hear the ladies. Yeah, we're joined now by, I'll make sure I get these names. You know something? You're going to do that. I'm going to just let everybody introduce itself. So, get closer to the microphone. Introduce yourself, if you will.
Sure thing. I am Sayeeda Carter. I am the St. Croix Educational Complex drama teacher and also the executive director and founder of Act Out Ensemble.
Act Out Ensemble. Young lady?
Good morning. My name is Maya Prasad. I am a senior at Good Hope Country Day School. I participate in performing arts mainly at school, at the Caribbean Community Theater, and I also dance at Caribbean Dance School.
You're a student?
Yes.
What year are you in?
I'm a 12th grader.
Graduating senior?
Yes.
Okay, congrats. Young lady?
Good morning. My name is Kenya George. I was in attendance for the play on Monday, and I am a former student of Sayeeda. She taught me in 2005.
In New York City.
In New York City.
A long time ago.
It was.
Let's not get into that, Neville.
Yeah, accept the realities of life, baby. You know what I'm saying? So.
And I was already almost 10 years deep by then.
New York City. 2005.
That's when my brother was born.
Okay, Maya.
Yeah. What you were doing in New York City in 2005? Sayeeda?
I taught at a wonderful school on the Lower East Side called East Side Community. And Kenya was one of my students, and it was lovely to find out that she was also of Virgin Islands parentage.
What was the biggest difference with students from Lower East Side and students on St. Croix?
I think children are children, but I think some of my students in New York might have been a little. I like the student who's unafraid, unabashed, willing to open their mouth, willing to question power. So that's what I attempt to cultivate But, they're all have similar concerns. And 2005 is very different from 2025. This
Very
is 20
different.
years later. So much has happened.
Well, we were still relatively dealing with the fallout from 911
Yes.
and that trauma, right? So that was interesting. Ms. George, you were in school in New York in 2005, was it?
Yes, she taught me in 10th grade.
Your people have got roots in the Virgin Islands?
Yeah, deep roots. Both my parents were born and raised in St. Thomas, and I have a huge village in St. Croix.
So how are you maintaining that relationship for donkey years now?
Sayeeda, love, and she's just an excellent connector. And I would say I often call her a mother of many. So we've always been able to just keep that relationship because of just how well she mothers and loves on her students. And when I met her, I was going through a very difficult time, and she just, with her mother wings, just covered me and carried me in many ways. So we've just been able to stay in contact.
You're never going to adopt the local twang? You're going to be a Yankee? You got a Yankee?
I'm probably going to be, yes, a Yankee forever.
But she did. She came during the pandemic and lived here for almost 2 years.
Yeah.
When she was able to work remotely until they called that off, much to her utter dismay. But now she's visiting for a family funeral. So I said, come to the event. And then this morning I said, come to the radio.
Yeah, nothing wrong
Here
with
I
that. All right, glad to have you here.
Thank you.
Multi-generational. George?
Yes.
Okay, good. Just Poseidon.
Hello.
That's a big name in the territory. Your father popular.
Yeah.
Yeah. How's life at Good Hope Country?
I've really got nothing much to complain about. I'm very fortunate.
Get closer to the microphone then. So
Okay.
There you
Yes.
go. There you go.
Got you.
So life is good at Good Hope Country Day?
Yeah, definitely busy. Really busy, but fun, I guess.
Now your desire to act and perform and all that stuff, that came from where?
I'm not sure specifically, but my family are all, I think, performers. My aunt, Lisa O'Neill, she's a dancer. My sister, Clara Killy, an actor. We've all been on stage, and I think just like being around creative and artistic people has inspired me from a young age.
Ceci was actor too?
Yeah.
How's she doing?
Good.
That's your mother, for those of you who don't know. That's her mom's, right?
She's got the best mom.
Yeah, man, yes, Ceci's the lawyer, right?
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about. So we're good. What are you looking at? You want to head out to college at the end of this year?
For sure.
What are you looking at? You send out applications and all that?
We're working on that.
And what are you looking at for a profession at the age of 17, 18, 16, however?
You know, I'm not completely sure, like, which major, but I am very much interested in people and psychology, so I really hope to, like, be working with people in the future and making a difference somehow.
So mommy and a lawyer, mommy the lawyer on one side, dad the doctor.
I don't want to do
So you want to do those two professions?
No, no,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, good. That's good. Thanks to all three of you for joining me here this morning.
Thanks for having
Thank
us,
you.
Neville.
Thank you.
So, Ms. Carter, tell me about
Yes.
Enough.
So, early August, a parent of one of the drama club members, Annabette Walter, said to me, her mom, Marianne, who is at UVI as a professor, said, "Have you heard of the Enough plays?" And I'm like, "No, say more." And she said, "Well, my sister worked with them in the state she lives in, but it's a nationwide staged reading, plays written by high schoolers on the subject of gun violence." So I was like, oh, say less. And then I immediately called the Enough Plays organization, Michael Cody, and I got on and I said, "Hey, is this something I can do in the territory?" And he was like, "We would love for you to do it in the territory." And I immediately began taking Zoom with the organization, meeting the playwrights who are all 13 to 19 years old, learning about how to deliver the content. And then I said, you know what? I'm not going to go it alone. Let's break the socioeconomic divide. Let's get children meeting other children on their island. So I reached out to Miss Vanessa Velez at Good Hope Country Day, and I said, could you put me in touch with the person who does theater there? I want to see if they're interested in this. And she said yes, and then the match was made in heaven.
And you mentioned copyright and all that stuff, right?
Yes.
Enough is what?
So Enough, if you want to check it out, because they have a fabulous website, enoughplays.com has been in existence for about 4 to 5 years. And annually they perform the same plays in multiple communities that get people activated about the gun violence in their community. And in the United States, we have a terrible gun violence problem in the U.S., and it does not leave the territory out by any stretch of the imagination. The territory is right there neck and neck with our own gun violence program. So when I heard of this, I'm like, oh, this is something I'll be doing annually.
The governor, they got a program within the governor's office of Gun Violence.
Yes.
You familiar with that?
I reached out to them.
Okay. And what was the
So
response?
I reached out to Damian Lang and Antonio Emmanuel. They jumped on board. They met with me. I also reached out to Blue Tarp Productions because they do film over gun violence.
That's the Cannon.
Yes, George Cannon's just a darling individual and his crew. And we did this. We pulled this off on a Monday night. And it was amazing. The auditorium was packed.
This was where at?
St. Croix Educational Complex.
Oh, that's awesome.
And guess what? You want to hear some funny thing? The WAPA was off until 6:02.
Right when it was time to start?
Oh, yeah. That's what prayer works, right?
All right. That's awesome.
Yeah. So we had a little delay with getting our audience seated.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were able to take the stage, and Maya was amazing as always, along with all the other actors.
How many actors in total?
Oh my God! Now you're gonna force me to
Ballpark.
Oh, over 25.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that was amazing. There were 6 plays. 5 of them were done by teens, and then 1 was done by some adult.
So we actually had 6
members.
versions of Enough.
So they all had a different name. The first one was called "Oh Look, Another School Shooting," and that one was performed by the Good Hope Country Day crew. Right after that, there was one called "The Perfect Victim," which involved a young man being shot on the streets of Chicago, and instead of the healthcare community immediately helping him and coming to his aid, it showed all the gaps in the system with how healthcare can deal with trauma, and questions about, oh, don't take him to that hospital. That's a hospital where people bleed out. And then the doctor, slightly, racist doctor, oh, it's just another victim, showing how, a young black male's life is not held in high esteem and in care. So, and then it went on to another one that interviewed death. One of the characters was a news person, such like yourself. Mm-hmm. And the premise was that Death had written a book, and that Death was being interviewed about his bestseller novel. And he was talking about all the frustrations with his job. There was another one called "We Didn't Have to Meet Here," where all the characters were already dead, and they were discussing how they had lost their lives. Then there was another one called "Under Wraps," and that one dealt, Neville, with a big issue on island, which is intimate partner violence. So the young woman meets a fabulous man. He seems great at the beginning, and then we begin to see the issues with him, and then eventually he shoots and kills her. Mm-hmm. And then the last one was Holding Space, and that was also just 2 actors. And they were young people at high school. Their school had had a school shooting a month prior, and they had been arrested at a protest. And one of them was a protest organizer, but the other young lady just wanted to get back to life as usual, normal life. So it shows the battle between, do we take action or do we try to get back to some level of normality? So 6 really great plays written from young people throughout the U.S. And in January, our students can submit a play of their own writing and style that maybe talks about our issues in some depth, and perhaps they will be selected. They received hundreds of plays, and these 6 were selected by playwrights and novelists that the Enough company pulls into this conversation.
Wasn't it cool listening to her just rattle off the 6 plays like as if it was yesterday?
Yeah, it wasn't. You didn't even look at your laptop. I was like,
Right,
wow.
I can't log on yet, but yeah, because I've been working with them, hearing about them.
I'm just sitting here like, she was going from one to the next and like,
Yeah.
breaking them down.
They were good. They were good. It was important.
Yeah. Maya, what play you in? Microphone.
I was in the first.
Pull it by you so that you ain't got to
Then.
Okay.
and then put it on there.
All right.
That good? Was it?
Yeah.
Hold on there. That go there? Okay, good.
I was in the opening play. Oh look, another school shooting. Where
I get a name from?
They were all written by the playwrights.
Oh, okay,
they were
okay.
given to us, yeah.
Oh, look,
And they were performed in 70 places, these same 6 plays.
So yeah, I played a student who had just experienced a school shooting, and was getting kind of interviewed by a reporter, and like that same day, and it was a discussion between, on the news, a discussion between a lot of people, liberal or like and conservative kind of activists, and also we've got there was an atheist, a priest, the president. It was a lot going on, and I really enjoyed connecting with that character and trying to understand how they must have felt after experiencing that, and bringing myself also into it to deliver the performance.
And you were the star?
I think so, yeah.
Was she the star?
She's always the star.
I was in the middle.
In any experience, she is a star.
We attach
and so modest.
we are that's a good thing. Modesty is good. We attach any music to the place?
Well, Kevray Hendricks, our band leader at Complex, the band director, came along and served to DJ. So when one play was changing the set or moving the chairs, he did provide some music for us in between. And we were graced with the choir opening the event with a wonderful rendition of Sting's song Fragile. If you've never gotten a chance to hear that song, it talks about, how fragile we all are.
Well, we had a song from back in the day. I'm trying to find it now. I know my engineer's a DJ. Army had a song. I heard the news yesterday. Find out the name of that song there. See if I could pull it up on YouTube and we could play it. Maybe we could take Army song and accompany it to our local plays.
Yes.
And maybe we could just revive the song. The song been out a good while now. You know what I'm saying? But I don't, you know the song?
By Army?
Yeah. I heard the news yesterday. I know that I get that you.
Oh yes, yes, that is
I'm a bad singer, so don't hold it against me.
No, me too, and that's a powerful song.
Yes.
Also, there's a line in a Midnight song that says "Stop, pull trigger on one another."
Yeah, so if we go, use some of our local music,
I would love to see that
and attach it to these plays. You know what I'm saying? That's just a creative mind. Don't hold it against me.
No,
you know
I am applauding it.
You know what I'm saying? So that will let them know that our creativity ain't limited to just
performance that we can write as well.
Yeah, so we're talking with Sayeeda Carter, Kenya George, and Maya Prasad, actors, educators, former students, multi-generational George here in the studio. We'll take a break and be back right after this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is a song that we're referencing. Sang them yesterday's news, by the way. This I mean, from 16 years ago, I mean, time really flying, you know what I'm saying? So, Sayeeda, let them know that we got a song track if they want it. You know what I'm saying? Put on the headphone there. I know you're trying to download your information as we listen to Army, the artist, a big tune from back in the day. We're talking here with Miss Kenya George, Miss Maya Prasad, and Sayeeda Carter. There was acting performances using Enough as a foundation. Enough Plays is a nationwide project to end gun violence with 10-minute plays written by teens in high school, and Maya Prasad is the star actor here in the studio with us this morning. So, Ms. George, what are you doing now?
I am a program director for a nonprofit, but social worker by training, and I also do community wellness and healing work. When
you left high school, where'd you go?
I went and served as an after-school coordinator for an elementary school program in New York City. Actually, the same high school that Sayeeda taught me in.
So you went to college?
Yeah. I went to...
That's a term that we use locally. Went to college. Yeah.
Yes.
So don't hold it against us. Yeah.
What? My family's from here.
That's what I'm saying.
Get it.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. So where'd you go to school at?
I went to Barnard College for undergrad, and I got my master's in social work.
Where's Barnard at?
It's in New York City, Columbia University.
Oh, Columbia University. Okay. Uptown? Where's Barnard at?
Barnard is like, I like to say it's like close to Harlem. I don't know, Uptown. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
East side or west side?
West.
Okay. Okay. That's my stomping grounds. I love it up there. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying?
It's a beautiful place.
Yeah.
It's changed a lot, but it's
only
it's
22.
home,
Only 22 square miles. I know, but millions of people.
for sure.
You know what I'm saying? So we go with that. Maya, we want to go to school.
We're looking at maybe the Northeast, some open curriculum schools that allow you to choose the classes you want, and you don't have to do the core, or usually schools have core classes that every student must take, like general classes. And these open curriculum schools just give you, I mean, they're more open, so you get a little bit more freedom.
I'm going to give you a suggestion.
Yeah.
Haven't been there and done that. Those universities that have the core curriculums,
Yeah.
that's a good thing.
You're you're right.
You know what I'm saying? No, I understand you would want some freedom and the ability, to choose where you want to go, but those foundational classes, those humanities, you know what I'm saying? That English, all that stuff. You'd be surprised we're in a world of specialization, but you'd be surprised down the road how much you thank wherever you were that I had those foundational classes. That's just my suggestion. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just saying that. Now, do you want to go to liberal arts school?
Yes.
Yeah, obviously. You know what I'm saying?
I actually just got an email from Barnard College.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Wow. That's not a coincidence.
Would you recommend Kenya?
I would. It was very hard, and I think just like imposter syndrome, all of those things of just being first generation and coming onto campus. And I also got a lot of support once I realized and accepted that I was actually supposed to be there, because I got in.
Sayeeda, where you went to school?
Georgetown, D.C.
Ooh.
Big shot, man. I like that.
Let me tell you, everything I learned there, I could have learned in a public library. I'm not a name brand school person, but
no, but they got
it was
value.
a good experience.
No, they got value. No, we live in a capitalistic society, so we can't ignore that.
Yeah.
I agree. 1 + 1, regardless of where you went to school, will always be 2. You know what I'm saying? But there's something about that. And that's a Catholic school, Jesuit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. When
I actually started at another school. I started at Brandeis.
You went to Brandeis?
Oh,
Yeah,
Okay.
and then I transferred out of there. So I when I write my autobiography, I'll have a chapter called "From Jews to Jesuits."
Yeah. Whenever I think of Georgetown, I think of 4 schools in particular in D.C., along with American,
Yes.
Catholic, and George Washington.
Yes.
Right? My sister graduated from George Washington.
Okay.
Maurice?
Yes.
Yeah, Santa Maurice James. They went to GW. And D.C. is a good, like an educational mecca.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
'Cause I
saying?
was able to go take a class at Howard.
Yeah.
occasionally.
You got Howard. You got UDC at the time. Then across the river, you got the George Masons and
Yes.
James Madisons and all that.
It's a
UVA.
good college town.
Yeah, it's a college area actually, the Middle Atlantic. And well, that's where everything started. So it makes sense. So let me get back to gun violence in the territory. We don't run from it. I know we're talking about plays and all that, but Sayeeda, as an educator, way too prevalent here in the Virgin Islands.
I've lost students. I have classmates that I grew up with. I graduated high school in 1989. Not to show my age, but some of my classmates' children have been killed from gun violence. So when I heard about this opportunity, I knew I wanted to do something to really speak out against this and galvanize.
By the way, one of my listeners at Barnard College, 116th on Broadway.
Thank you. Very specific.
Directly across the street from Columbia University.
Precisely.
Where they matriculated. The main gate. So I said, we're a small community, Miss George. You grew up in a high density area. I mean, where there's more people, there's a higher potential for things to happen. But I believe per capita, our situation may be just as bad, if not worse.
It's worse, yeah.
Than what we're dealing with on the mainland. What's your view on that as a social worker and someone who knows both ends of the spectrum, high density versus paradise. Yet, gun violence still in play.
Yeah. One, born and raised in the Bronx.
Boogie down.
Boogie down, always.
We lost last night, Yankees, man. Sorry, man.
I'm sorry.
I'm devastated. So don't hold it against me. Yeah.
I would say I've been working with young people my entire life and working within communities. So when we think about our community base, one of the things that is just the same is the grief that we all experience, and yet always having to just push past to the next thing. And so when I was watching the play, there was many moments where I was able to experience young people having to draw in like what people are constantly feeling, which is grief and grief unheard. And you can feel in the audience, people having their own personal experience by watching students wail and cry and be frustrated. And so in the city, serving young people, we don't do grief very well. We're not taught how to grieve. And one of the things that I appreciate about just who we are as a people is that we are storytellers by nature. And we are able to take something super tragic, tell the story, and allow people to witness and experience their own levels of grief. And so in the city, being born and raised in the Bronx, gun violence was very familiar to me. And what's very similar across community, space, and time is that how well are we handling grief, right? How well are we taking care of our hearts? How well are we taking care of one another? And depending on those things, it can get worse. And I think in a smaller island, you can feel it more densely because it's no degrees of separation. A cousin, a brother, a sister, everyone knows one another in a way where in New York, you can be in a train with thousands of people. No one knows that you're grieving, but somebody around, like literally down the road, knows that so-and-so just crossed over. And so that's the biggest difference, is that like you can see people's faces and you are able to make the connection of who was murdered. And I think that that's the biggest thing. And also what I've also noticed is that there's a lot of greater hope to kind of heal and mend because of the level of proximity people are with one another and how close community is on the island.
They actually had a movie back in the day about gun violence in a certain part of the Bronx, Fort Apache. And so it's interesting that you are talking about that. Maya, I saw you watching Miss George attentively just now. What was going through your mind? Speaking to the microphone.
I didn't think about it. So like before coming on, I kind of just like did a little research, and I found out that the leading cause of death in the U.S. for like young adults is more like car accidents or like accidents. In the U.S. Virgin Islands, however, it's homicide by like a big percent. And so while that is true, I think like and there's different parts of the U.S. where the gun violence is probably, or homicide is definitely more high. So, and also just hearing what she said about having the community here and everyone knows everyone well as New York. Yeah, it's totally different. I didn't think about that as like a contributor to gun violence and how I don't know, you have less people to see your grief or to get help from because, people are more like strangers.
So when you're hearing a my upper side of the world breaking down the realities that exist, and we know that the attention to detail at higher levels aren't where they should be.
Oh, not at all. That's why we have to not look only to higher levels to do the work. We all have to do the work. Like, I'm going to do the work through theater because that's what I enjoy. Like, as gruesome as the tales told in these 6 plays are, it helps you come to a reckoning and an understanding that it must be discussed. Like, yeah, I want to discuss joy all day and black joy, brown joy, white joy, whatever kind of joy. But I also know, realistically speaking, that we have to make comments about this issue. And we can't only look to leadership. And also, too, I think talking to one another, like after the plays were over, because it was a school night, a work night, not everybody stayed for the second portion, but we had a community talk back where you were invited to talk to the students. And then we also turned and talked to one another. You know, when you hear the words gun violence, you know, what is that? What comes up for you? How can we as a community solve these issues? Like teaching our children how to self-regulate, teaching them their value, teaching them, you know, how to don't pop off for the slightest little things, and, you know, knowing how valuable they are, that we want them around, and, you know, also making them strong. So a lot of the gun violence issues for me tend to be around issues of poverty too, because now you're committing crimes and you have to have a piece, a gun, something, and then, you know, you get too loose with it because you don't have the ability to self-regulate, or you're so angry that you don't know how to control your anger. Years ago, even in my youth, you beat somebody up, you get in a fight with them.
You're done.
It done. 15 years later, you laughing with them at a bar. Remember when I beat you? You know, but now people so quick to pick up a firearm, and we need to question the accessibility. Like, how do these guns get here? Where are they coming from? Can we stop them from coming into the territory?
Well, that's the ultimate problem. That's the ultimate solution.
Yeah.
Right? Because if they don't have them, then they can't use them.
Precisely.
Right? So, to me, that's what we're dealing with. In your social work, how critical or how much of a variable is education or the lack thereof?
When you say education or the lack thereof, in terms of
the victims and the perpetrators, what's their education levels? Is it all different areas that are being impacted?
I can't speak to like the statistics because I don't.
No, I'm speaking generally.
But I will say, I think it's a broad range depending on your life choices, right? I think also poverty. I think also, I think it really does vary. It's like if you have a gun in your hand.
Is there a direct correlation where you have high poverty, you have that high type of behavior?
I would say direct correlation, no, right? Because I grew up in poverty, right? I think that there's an element of like poverty does produce circumstances and situations.
Well, then let me ask you based on what you're saying then. So should we have a discussion about an even broader definition of poverty?
Absolutely. And also just thinking about like...
Because people think poverty is just about money and material things and all that stuff.
Poverty is not just about money. Like there's so much, right? It's access, it's opportunity, it's hope, it's the ability
lack of love.
It's love. It's also being able to... I believe that everyone should have dignity, and dignity bare minimum, being able to feed yourself, those that you love, and have some opportunity to like expand yourself in some way. And when you don't have that, and when you... that calls in desperation in many ways, right? And when you have desperation at the feet of where you, and it's leading you, oftentimes it can lead you to a gun. And so I think the reason why we talk about gun violence and poverty in the same conversation, and they oftentimes go hand in hand, is because of the desperation that it calls out, right? And then when you talk about young people just want to belong. Right. And if they don't have a space to belong, they don't have a space to kind of feed their gifts, skills, and talents. There are so many people that will quickly try to grab that young person and manipulate them to do things for them, or even buying into this character, this fake persona.
A bad man.
Yeah.
They got too much bad man.
But they're terrified. Right. Yeah. But they're like walking around with a gun is terrifying. Right. But there's this perception that I'm now this person, and I then get respect, and that's not it.
Mm-hmm. So when we come back, I go defend the man them, right? So when we come back, I gonna come back and talk about the girls, the ladies who actually like the guys, who lived that life on the edge. So we're gonna get into that. I ain't gonna lie. I just take
okay.
I ain't gonna
All
lie.
right,
I
we
just
ready for you.
I ain't gonna lie. I tee off on them and them like that.
No, we ready.
No, I'm just teasing. We'll be back with Kenya, Maya, and Sayeeda right after this. And we're back here and analyze this. We got Miss Sayeeda Carter, Miss Kenya George, and Miss Maya Prasad joining us. This past Monday, right? That's what it was?
Yeah, Monday, October 6th.
Yeah, Enough, which are plays in a nationwide project to end gun violence, were conducted. 6 of them down at the St. Croix Educational Complex. Maya Prasad was the star. That's how they pronounce it. Yankee them, right? We just say star, but the star, right? Up in New York. No, I love it. You know what I'm saying? She was in, another
School shooting.
Right? So
and she was also in...
We didn't have to meet here.
We didn't have to meet here.
We didn't have to meet here. Okay.
I played Death, I guess. And also the guard that kind of, once people have healed from their death and they leave this kind of waiting room and I think enter the next stage of death, afterlife, I guess. Yeah.
You preparing for these roles means you got to memorize lines and all that stuff, right?
Well, this was a staged reading.
Oh, okay.
So you have to have a great deal of familiarity with your lines, and some of the shorter ones I could tell they had memorized, and some, depending on their preparation, were closer to memorization or than just reading. But it was meant to be a stage reading, and when I asked the gentleman, Michael Cody, should I make them learn the lines? He was like, no, because this is an inciting moment. It's more than being about the plays. It's more just getting the conversation started. So, I mean, I feel like I'm going to have a part 2 where we come back and we have a story circle and we talk more about this because, you know, when the plays ended, I would say a good, you know, 3/5 of the audience, you know, had to go. So the conversation at the end was a little shorter than I would have loved it to be. But I think it's important to note a Toni Morrison quote that is on the website. Her also being one of my faves. She said, "This is precisely the time when artists go to work. There is no time for despair, no place for self-pity, no need for silence, no room for fear. We speak, we write, we do language. That is how civilizations heal."
There we go. So, Miss George, start with you. What is it about that percentage of young women who are either attracted, or whatever the word is, to that lifestyle for those guys who want to live on the edge? Why do you think that is? I mean, human behavior is what it is, I'm saying, but, you know, taking that risk, you know, and there's a lot of bad end results when you go in that area.
Yeah, I think working with young people for so long, I have had to learn how to see things for, just like Sayeeda said, teaching me in 2005 is very different from teaching someone from 2025. And a part of that is, but it also, there's some things like children are children. Who does not want to be with someone that is deemed cool in the community, right? Who does not want to be in connection with someone that is being glorified for good or bad, right? And so I think that for young women that I have worked with, and also being a young woman who chose unwisely when I was a kid, I think that there's like it's what's accepted, right? And unfortunately, what is glorified are those like young people that shouldn't be doing what they not supposed to be doing, right? Like that's just
that's what young people do.
That's what young people do, and I think that as old, like elders, I'm not going to call myself an elder, but folks who are old enough, instead of judging it, I think we have to oftentimes sit and say, like, do you know how powerful you are? Do you understand how you, just by saying no to someone or to a young man that's like, no, I'm not really into that, just how that can shift things because you've elevated the standard. And if we keep the standard to the bottom and of like, it's okay for you to be going out and shooting people, right? And if that's the standard, I think women in our communities, we have a lot of power that can shift and change standards. And so I don't judge young people in the same way, like, why are you choosing that? Why? Because when I was a young person, I was choosing stupidness. And that's a truth. And I also now know when I talk to young women, it's like, do you like helping them to see and break, like, what are you actually choosing? Like, are you clear about that? Because in like when you're in a bubble, and if it's deemed cool, if you seem popular, or even if you're getting a little bit of money because like that's something that's helpful to you, right? I think we have to sit with our young people and get curious and not come from a place of judgment. And I think as we get older, it's easy to like to forget who you were when you were their age. And I think for me, as someone who's been working with young people for a while, I can't forget that, because then they won't come to me because they don't feel safe.
So, So to crystallize what you're saying, right? Just want to make sure I get this correct.
Okay.
Don't judge young people for being young people when they were young.
Because we've all been there, and some people make better choices, right?
But I don't want that to be an excuse, though.
It's not an excuse, but it's a truth, right? And we all, and if we don't embrace the truth and we just deem it and say, you're making an excuse, then we're missing a huge part of the population that's not being asked, like, well, why are you choosing this?
Well, we got a young lady here, so let me ask her, right?
Let's do it.
Maya, why do nerds like myself struggle in the eyes of the young ladies compared to what Miss George was talking about, where guys with stature and like a athlete. I mean, let's face it, athletes in high schools are very, very popular. High schools are pretty much close knit and all that stuff. Or guys who may have a material thing like
a big chain,
a car, right? Stuff like that. What is it about that?
They're confident, they're popular, and to think that someone like them, I don't know, is interested in someone like me, you want to feel loved, you want to feel, I don't know, for someone to have that attention. And they also, I feel like there's a bit of love bombing in the beginning, and so you think that it's a good relationship or like the honeymoon phase, I guess. And it can get kind of tricky, and I think that because those guys that do have high status, then they're not like the best morally, or they make bad decisions. I think we kind of, when we choose people like that who I don't think are worthy of us, then we don't feel worthy, and so we choose people who are unworthy, like putting into the universe that we don't deserve better. But it's also like the feeling of being loved or wanted that is very attracts us. I don't know.
So, Sayeeda, when you talk to the young ladies, are you encouraging them to not be obsessed with the tangibles and try to find the intangibles, the good ones, in people, not just in men, in people?
Well, I mean, there's a
or
Spanish,
boys at that time.
Some Spanish saying, I don't know Spanish, but it's like, show me who you walk with and I'll show you who you are. Mm-hmm. So do you want to be truly with someone like that, or is it it's materialism? And like, oh, he could buy me this bag, or he could get me this gold bracelet, or this silver bracelet, or this material thing, because he's in, the drug trafficking trade, or he can do this, he can do that. And like you said, if the love isn't coming substantially enough from home and family and friends, then we're easily attracted to this kind of ne'er-do-well type of individual. And the nerds might take a longer time to get to their paper, but these young, criminals, so to speak, have gotten some paper and they're able to flash it and
let's use
pull you in.
Let's use living on the edge. I'm not call them criminal. Let's use living on the edge type.
Yes.
But here's the deal, right? But there are. I gotta make sure I speak properly with Allah. You Yankee, it might show this man, right? There is that percentage of young ladies who would look at the nerdy types because they want them to help them with their education.
Yeah.
It is not all about the material things.
Hopefully.
You know what I'm saying? So when they see a Briano, like we used to call them, right? The Briano, right? And they say, something, maybe he could help me be a little bit better with my science class or my math class and stuff like that. So some just have a better recognition of the big picture at an earlier age, Miss George. Because it's not all material things.
When received, and I agree, and it made me think about the play this with the young woman who was in a domestic violence relationship.
Under Wraps, one done by adults.
And yes, and it went really well. In that, what I was thinking is, what if that young person had discernment, right? Because I think that's ultimately what we're talking about, is like discernment, and do you have a own personal sense of self-worth, right? And so, and it's not just women, it's also it's everyone, right? Like, as if we had those two things, and we would make better decisions that serve us for our highest and greatest good. And so I would say, like, with that particular play with the young lady who was like so excited about being loved on and receiving, and also, like, to your point about being in a relationship where she felt invested in outside of the tangibles, he also then became violent, right? And then she became isolated. And in her isolation, she felt even more alone, which then opened up the opportunity to get even more abused. And I think that cycle is, what if that young woman had discernment? What if she felt comfortable enough to go to her mother or go to her friend, right? Like, and so I think when we talk about young women, it's not just young women who are making these choices that doesn't honor their self-worth. And because of like young people, like for me, it's like our biggest job is to teach them that they're, one, not alone, two, that they should, like, they have like self-worth and self-value, and that they have permission to experience the full range of their emotions. And every time that I've worked with a young person that didn't get one of those three, there was a door that was open for what I would call the principalities to come in. And I think that we have a job to do to shield them with our wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to help fortify so that they can make mistakes, because that's a part of living. You're supposed to make mistakes, but not make mistakes where we are now mourning the loss of someone, right? Or losing a young woman to something that she didn't want in the immediate right now.
I mean, there's the level of shame that comes about, you know, when you're in a domestic violence, you're like, this is happening to me.
Yeah.
I thought I had it more together than that. So then you don't end up sharing with your loved ones. You don't come to family. You don't, you know, because in the play there was the characters, the best friend and the mom were saying like, is he treating you okay? You know, why did you cancel on us? Is everything all right with him? And why are you always covering long sleeves, covering with scarves? Well, she had bruises. And the family and friend did not push hard enough because they took her word for it. They took her word that she was okay, when clearly their spidey senses told them there was nothing okay about her and she needed help and support. And then she ends up being killed.
Yeah.
Well, what's the next step for these young actors, Sayeeda?
Hopefully, as I told the Good Hope Country Day staff, I gotta see them again. They were such good actors. And my students came to me and they were like, Miss Carter, they're so good. You know, I said, why are you, again, self-worth? Like, you guys are good too. Like, I didn't see such a huge range. Like, they were so good and they were only okay. Everyone was really good. And they just need to truly believe in themselves.
They're going to perform again? They're going to perform this again?
They won't perform this again except annually, but I do want to go over and do the type of work that I do, which is theater of the oppressed work, where I use social justice situations from our own community.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to get you back on again. We had a great conversation today.
Yes.
Time flies. I want to thank all three of you, Sayeeda Carter, my upper side, and Kenya George for joining us this morning. And just congratulations.
Yes, thank
and all
you.
the good work that you did on Monday. And oh look, another
School shooting.
featuring my upper side. You know what I'm saying? Very good.
And
Thank
it was
you.
recorded so the community can see it.
Very good. Ms. George, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Sayeeda, it's always a pleasure to talk with you and that Ivy League English that you do.
Oh, Lord of mercy.
Incorporate with the twang. I love it. You know what I'm saying? And good luck.
Thank you so
Okay?
much.
got
Thank
it.
you.
Enjoy the show today. Be good. Be safe. Talk to you tomorrow.
All righty.
The views and opinions expressed on Analyze This are entirely those of the on-air participants and do not reflect those of the station's board, management, staff, or underwriters.
And weddings, you can plan